I still got plans that I never spoke. A lot of rhymes that I never wrote. A lot of dreams that I never lived. But if I think about it, then I mean I really did. Just not yet. I used to wish that I was here now. Smooth sailing on my own boat. I'm about to jump up on another plane. Right before I take another tote. It's all love. If you here, you done been through it. It's your business if you into it. If it ain't mine, I ain't into it. So I don't care what you meddling. You can say what you peddling, cause niggas ain't easily influenced. I'm about to take another long drive, cause it helped me get a clear mind. So while you staring at your watch, I'll be looking at the sun. Yeah, I'm moving on real. I used to wish that I was here now. Smooth sailing on my own boat. About to jump up on another plane. Right before I take another tote. I used to wish that I was here now. Smooth sailing on my own boat. About to jump up on another plane. Right before I take another tote. I used to wish that I was here now. Smooth sailing on my own boat. About to jump up on another plane. Right before I take another tote. I used to wish that I was here now. Smooth sailing on my own boat. About to jump up on another plane. Right before I take another tote. I always knew that I'd be here now. Standing on his own too. A move I make is real humble. That's exactly what a man do. You playing games and you only get one turn. So I'm moving on the low too. In the game, roll a whole gram up. In the backwood, no, you got roll too. I used to wish that I was there now. Jumping off another plane. Stepping foot on another planet. Resurrected, but they call me by the same name. So if you know me like your chalice, or you could put it in a blunt too. All praise to the Most High, cause that's exactly what I am too. I used to wish that I was here now. Smooth sailing on my own boat. About to jump up on another plane. Right before I take another tote. I used to wish that I was here now. Smooth sailing on my own boat. About to jump up on another plane. Right before I take another tote. I used to wish that I was here now. Smooth sailing on my own boat. About to jump up on another plane. Right before I take another tote. I used to wish that I was here now.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We're also streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. Live on Facebook Live as well. Just go to facebook.com, New Haven Independent, or just go to your Facebook page, look up New Haven Independent, mark C first. I'm here in the studio with Kebra, and put on your mic.
I kept saying, I feel like something's missing. It's the mic.
Well, every time, we're always on the run lately, Kebra. Yeah. We just got back from Hartford, her and I. We were at a forum on cannabis legalization up at the Legislative Office building. And Kebra was actually a panelist on the forum.
Yeah.
It was nice. I felt like it was really informative. Unfortunately, the legislators are in caucus right now, so not a lot of them were actually in attendance. But I feel like it is going to be on video, so they can watch it afterwards. Mm-hmm. And any of the ones who are really interested in the cause will watch it. You know, anyone who really is really interested in making an informed decision on whether to vote yes or no, because we're realistically now we're at the finish line. We're coming close to the finish line here. Mm-hmm. We got a little bit more than a week to get this thing put on to, up for a vote.
Yes.
And, from what I hear, there's about 12 Democrats that are still on the fence or that are no votes. So, I mean, we have our work cut out for us. I was lucky enough I went to a hearing on Saturday on tolls with 4 legislators. Mm-hmm. And I got to speak to them. And out of the 4, 3 of them were pro-cannabis. Mm-hmm. And one of them was Dorinda Borer, who was actually on the Appropriations Committee, and she voted yes. Mm-hmm. And she said she will continue to support the cause. So out of the 4 of them, there was only one who was on the fence. Mm-hmm. And I spoke to him and I asked him, what information would you need to help you make your decision? And he told me, really what happens over there. He's in Stratford. Mm-hmm. That he hears from parents and teachers. He hears from the police department, no. He hears from the fire department and the city officials, no, no, no. But doesn't hear anything from any people who are pro-cannabis. So it seems to me that they're hearing more from the opposition than the pro. Mm-hmm. And he said, I'm on the fence because I hear that from one side, but yet I know it would be good for the state and it would be good for revenue, and I know all the pros of it.
And I think that's one of our failures, as advocates and working with NORML and CT. I don't think that we give people like we should have like a database of information that we don't have. And we are very busy, like you said, running from this to that to the other. But I think another thing that we don't do very well is prioritize. So I mean, I know these panels, they do get out information, and we're able to talk amongst our peers. It usually ends up being amongst our peers, though. We're like totally missing getting the information to the general public.
I think you're right. I think that's where the gap is. I mean, we're fine with communicating with legislators. But
it's just us. Like, we need to be able to empower
the general public to communicate with the legislators
and have, the information that they're looking for, solid information, not just, because
I want
anecdotal
legalization.
Stuff is great. Stories about how cannabis changed my life, your life, whatever. They're great. But then legislators want to have some facts, some statistics to back up, why they should vote for this. What that child use, youth hasn't increased, is actually decreased most of the time. That opioid deaths have reduced in states that have legalized. Those kind of things, I think, or the jobs that will be created.
Right.
Based on an adult use program. Hey, Lou.
Hey, Lou.
Lou's here.
So, yeah, that seems to be where we're at with it. And a lot, all four of them asked for the Massachusetts regulations.
Oh, yeah.
They want to see.
Yeah, so the panel I was just on, as you know, I was sitting next to one of the Massachusetts Commissioner McBride.
Right.
And she gave me a website to go to, with all, like, with a bullet points of all their regulations.
Good.
So that's something that we can send to legislators, and we have like them on a mailing list, right?
Yeah. I have,
so we can send it
list,
to everyone. Yeah. But then I think we also need to find ways. I pray that adult use gets voted on and approved this session.
Yeah, I don't want to keep going up there.
Yeah, but if it doesn't, I think then our next strategy. Well, I don't even want to talk about if it doesn't, but God forbid it does not. I think our next strategy should be really organizing the community.
And also, I did speak to a legislator today, and here's what he said. He said, listen, if it doesn't go through this session, this is what you guys got to do. You guys got to get a person into the campaigns. So, in other words, you would volunteer for a campaign in New Haven. I would volunteer to work on the campaign of the guy in Stratford.
Right.
You would volunteer where you live. And he said the more people you have in the campaigns, you get in the ear of the legislator, and then they get informed, and then they make that a part of their platform. So he said it's more about getting involved in this election coming up if it doesn't go through this year, because it's all about who gets in next year then. Because, we could be faced with a Republican governor. We could be faced with a Republican majority next year, and that's a whole nother strategy, a whole nother game.
Yeah.
So, that's important.
But for those we can't get in with, we definitely need to help empower the community and their constituents to be able to, with facts, tell them why they want adult use in the state.
Now, what do you think it is? Is it laziness? Is it fear?
Whose part?
Of the general public? Is it fear? Because we certainly at least put out the information. Here's how to contact your legislator. Here's how to email them. Here's where you go to websites. I mean, we can't sit there and hold people's hands and make them do it. I mean, where's the gap there between telling people how to do it and what to do and them actually doing it?
I think we actually may have to hold hands. I honestly do.
I would probably say, let's pick a day and we'll all get together, and even if it's through one of the normal meetings, we can call and leave voicemails at the actual normal meeting.
But here's what Kebra was saying. They're here from us.
Yeah,
they hear from us.
They do.
They know me.
They know,
they know me by face.
We know you're the cannabis
We know
advocate.
you're the weed guy.
Yeah.
They said this. I went on a whole different hearing this weekend. It had nothing to do with cannabis. They all knew. Hey, it's like, so they're here from us. I mean, how do you get the general public to take action?
I don't know.
I do not
plead.
think that people know how to interact with legislators.
But
I mean, my first time going to, and I feel like I can talk to anybody. Like, my first time going this past session to really, advocate for cannabis legalization, I got tongue-tied, I mean, I could just, and I'm not an easily intimidated person, but I was, the first time. After that, it was on and popping. But, I think that people just need that guidance, like they really need somebody to just kind of like model the behaviors. Like, so I think having community forums where we engage the community, figure out who's proponent, who's opponents, try to change the opponents, or at least give them information. Then once we get enough people on our side in the communities, then do some advocacy training and lobbying training and show people how to engage, and then model that behavior for them up at the Capitol. I just think that that's going to be that really. It's a lot of work. It's time consuming. It's burdensome almost, to have to think about doing this on a regular basis. But I think that's the difference, because if 71%
where are their voices? Right.
Where are their voices?
Why are they hearing more from opposition than they are
over
from their
400,000 consumers in the state, but no one's speaking up? Is either because they don't, and then also, especially people of color, we don't believe our voice is heard, our vote really counts. These are kind of things that have been ingrained in us. And so I think that it almost feels useless to some people to, like, they're not even going to listen. They've already made up their mind. But the reality is they will listen, especially if you're in their constituency.
Oh, trust me. They listen. People
listen.
don't think they do, especially I could tell what they did this weekend had an impact on what they're going to do about the tolls.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't understand, the more resistance there is to tolls and the more they start to realize that it is not a viable option, they are going to look at cannabis as the next viable option.
Mm-hmm.
There's only a few things on the table. One is the tolls, one is cannabis, and one is the casino that will bring in large amounts of revenue. They have other small little bills that'll bring in certain amounts, but those are the three big ones.
Mm-hmm.
And if the tolls look like they're not working out, the next one in line is cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for us, it's really important, that because I haven't heard any word about up there. Everybody's focusing on tolls.
And truth be told, they need tolls, they need cannabis, they need
casinos,
they need an act of God to get us out of this debt.
They need their own printing press, or they need to find that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, or maybe win their own lottery.
Right.
I'm serious.
Or bet at the casinos we already got.
Right. Well, yeah, I think they treat the up there at the LOB like a casino. Up there, at least they use our money like it's a casino. Well, speaking of that, there's a couple of opportunities this week for people to get out there.
This is a nice little busy
week.
Busy
weekend.
It's like Cannabis Week.
Yeah.
So let's see. All right. So May 2nd on Wednesday, we got a support group in Milford.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We might as well even go because you're presenting up in Philly, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about Philly too, but let's talk about what they're last.
Connecticut.
Yes, they're last. Okay, so we got the support group. That happens every month. Brian Center is going to be speaking this month, so it's going to be kind of a special one. That's at Bohemian High in Milford.
Very nice.
Then on Thursday night, we have the big event at the Science Center, Fresh and Green.
Mm-hmm. They got a little play on the news this weekend from the science guy on Channel 3. Thank you for that.
Yep. So that's going to be a big event. It's like a happy hour event for adults, right? Only got to be over 21 to get in.
They literally shut down the museum to anybody under 21 years old. You come in, there's well, I'm not necessarily a proponent of this, although people who drink is fine with me. But they open each floor. They have open bar. But what we're going to be doing really innovative and different for the state is we're actually going to have cannabis buds, both cured, so dried, and moist.
Ooh.
So we can look at it under a microscope to
and it'll be projected on a screen.
No, people will individually look at under microscopes
That's
at
awesome.
the different buds, and then we're going to have info sessions. I was going to try to teach the info sessions and do the visualizations with folks, but that was too much. So I called in the reinforcement. So our girl Ellen Brown is coming from Mass to teach the info sessions, and it's just going to be like medical marijuana 101 and cannabis 101, just like a little background on the science of the plant.
She's
I should
perfectly
say.
capable.
Awesome.
Yeah,
She's
it's
very
gonna be
capable.
great.
Plant sciences.
So that
can't go wrong with that.
And then vendors, because you're gonna be
Vendors,
vending.
yup, and
Go-Go Joe's,
Cushley.
Cushley, Ricky
Ricky
D,
D, yeah.
Topstone.
So we got some vendors there.
Canna Health will have a table
Hello?
too.
We got our call in. Okay, our call in
Already
is
a
here.
quarter after.
Yeah, it is.
Sheesh, time flies when you're having fun.
All right. Who's on the line?
Well, so you hold on the line. Finish what we were saying. So that's Thursday. Tickets are available on the website.
at the
for
Connecticut,
the Connecticut
Science Center.
or you could buy tickets up front. They suggest you get there early. They're expecting 700 to 800 people. So check-in is
It's
long.
gonna sell out.
Parking is
Okay.
crazy. So
Who do we have on the line?
Hey, this is Becky Dansky from the Marijuana Policy Project.
Hey,
hey, Becky.
How are you, Becky?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, we're doing well. We're just talking about cannabis and what's going on at the LOB. Kebra and I were just up there for a big, a little forum on legalization that they had, and we wanted to know a little bit about you, where you come from, what MPP is all about, and then give us some wisdom and insight about what is happening and how we can help get cannabis legalization pushed through here in Connecticut.
Great. Well, thanks so much for inviting me to join you today. And I guess I'll just give a quick update and then talk about things we can do. But before that, as I mentioned, my name is Becky Dansky, and I work for the Marijuana Policy Project. We're an organization that works on the federal level and then also on the state level through legislation as well as through ballot measures. And we were the lead on 6 of the 9 states that currently have legalization for adults. And so my organization has some expertise on this issue at this point. We've been around for 23 years. And so what we do is we find states that look like they have the potential for legalization. And for the last 2 years, Connecticut has been a target for us. Not just because of the revenue issues, which I think everyone in Connecticut is familiar with revenue issues going on in the state right now, but also because a lot of the neighboring states have already considered it and are either on their way to implementing, such as Massachusetts, which will be starting retail sales on July 1st, as well as Maine, which is working on implementing their program, and Vermont, which recently became the first state to legalize marijuana through the legislature, but it is a narrower program that only allows for home grow. So I actually just spent this weekend in Connecticut for a bar mitzvah in the family, so a lot of time in the Nutmeg State recently for me. And I've been traveling to Hartford along with my colleague Sam Tracy and talking to lawmakers about where we are and figuring out how we move forward. The timing of being on the show today is really terrific because we're expecting later today or possibly tomorrow that the OFA, the Office of Financial Analysis in Connecticut, is going to come out and announce what the 2017 revenues were, receipts were. So basically, how much money did the government spend and how much money do they have and those numbers. And I think no one will be surprised if those numbers show that Connecticut continues to be in desperate need of additional revenue. But as we said, that's not just the only reason that Connecticut should consider legalization. It will also create jobs, attract new employers, stop wasting resources on arresting people for things that are going to be legal just across the border in Massachusetts in another couple months. And so it could do a lot to help stimulate the economy in Connecticut. And that's something that I personally, and I think you all would really like to see, in addition to eliminating or at least minimizing the illicit market. Marijuana is already in Connecticut. We've seen statistics that show 1 in 7 Connecticut residents consume marijuana. And so what we're saying is let's take that marijuana market and make it legal and make it safer. Right. And so that people are accessing safer products and as well as the revenue, instead of going into the pockets of drug dealers, will be going to help fix the terrible roads in Connecticut that I drove on this weekend, for example. And so,
we got a problem.
And so that's what our goal is, and that's why it makes sense for Connecticut to be doing this, among a lot of other reasons. So the status currently is that This year the strategy was to have separate bills that went through 4 separate committees addressing different aspects of the program. So the Finance Committee looked at the tax structure, whereas the General Law Committee looked at how should we license the businesses. The bill that went through the Appropriations Committee actually passed, which was surprising to a lot of people and was largely due to the fact that several Republicans actually voted in support. So now that bill has moved forward and now has a calendar number and could potentially be brought to the floor for a vote. The one thing I would say about the content of that bill is that it's not actually legislation that would create a regulated market in Connecticut. Instead, it is instructing certain government agencies to look into the issue and start thinking about and proposing ways that such a program could work in Connecticut. Mm-hmm. Obviously, our preference would be to see a strike-through bill that would take that language out and replace it with language that actually authorizes them to start creating the program and get the program up and running. And now, in order to do any of this, we need to get the bill actually to have a vote. Mm-hmm. And right now, that's looking not particularly likely. And that's because we're at the end of the legislative session, and a lot of people are asking for a lot of bills to get votes. And the Speaker has to decide with the few days left in this legislative session, session ends on the 9th, which bills are priorities to his caucus. And that takes us to the part about what can you do to help. You should, the number one and most important thing you can do in the situation right now is to contact your lawmakers. And that is regardless of where they are in this issue. I've always believed as strongly as a lobbyist, no matter where your lawmaker stands on an issue, reaching out to them is always important. And I'll explain the different messages that you should be relaying. So obviously, if your lawmaker is someone who is on the fence about this issue, you want to encourage them to support it and tell them that you, as a constituent, want them to support it. That's the easy and obvious one. If you have someone who is already supportive, even someone who is strongly supportive, first of all, thank them. They need to hear from you. They're hearing from people who are telling them this is the wrong thing to do. You need to let them know that people in the district support them and have their back on this. Mm-hmm. And the other thing you can say to those folks is, tell your leadership we want to vote on this year. And that's, the next step for them to do. Okay, they support the concept, but what are they doing to make sure there's a vote? So tell them, thanks for what you've done. Now, please contact your leadership and tell them you want a chance to vote on this on the floor. And then we get to the harder group, which is the no votes. And I know some of these folks have been out there in the press saying really ridiculous things about their opposition to this issue, and it can be infuriating sometimes when you know that the information they're saying is not necessarily true, or if they say their constituents don't support that, that's frustrating. And that's exactly why you need to call. Because even if someone has said, I will never, never, ever, ever vote for this, they need to know that there are people living in their district who think they're wrong on this issue and want them to support it. Nobody gets a pass. And, excuse me. And I would say the other thing that you have to know that they're all thinking about, especially now, this issue is very hot right now with recent developments between Trump and Boehner and Sessions last week acknowledging the value of medical. And again, as I mentioned, the fact that these revenue numbers are going to be coming out. This is a very hot topic, and they're going to be looking to see what people are saying about this, what their constituents are saying. Very few people ever pick up a phone and call their lawmaker. People may send action alerts, and there's definite value in that. But if you actually take the time to pick up a phone and call someone, they know that that's someone who's also going to go to the voting booth. Mm-hmm. And so they will listen to you, and they will be counting how many calls they're getting on each side of this issue. So if you've already contacted them, contact them again now, because they may be paying close attention. And if, obviously don't call them every day, but make sure that they know that you're in their district and that you support this. If you need any additional information about this issue, you can visit either the website for regulatect.com or you can visit the Marijuana Policy Project website, which is mpp.org. And both of those websites have a ton of information about legalization and the benefits, and also on dispelling some of the myths. So that can help you with that. And then, of course, Connecticut NORML has been very involved in this, and we've been working with them, and they also have some information they can provide on this topic.
And if
So I'll stop breathing and take a breath now.
And if you go to, I don't know, does MPP have this on their website as well that CT Reg does, where you can put in, some basic demographic information and it'll tell you who your legislator is and send you to, okay.
Yeah, to make it, we were speaking actually before you got on, is where's the gap between getting the general public? I mean, the activists, they hear from us all the time. Where do we getting the general public motivated to call? And I think you have a tool actually where all you really have to do is click a button, and within 2 clicks, you'll be on the phone with your legislator. And I think that's important to make it as easy as possible for people. They
could call after hours and leave a message, right?
Yeah.
Or they can send an email. And so if you're a little nervous about talking to legislators directly, that's a way that you can leave a message and, get your point across without having to actually talk.
And that is available at Regulate CT, that tool?
I believe so. If
yes,
not, we sometimes just put that up specifically for call-in days, but I believe that is consistently available on the Regulate CT site, I think. Also, keep an eye out for action alerts that will definitely be coming out from multiple organizations working on this issue in Connecticut, which will have the letter click through. And also with the call-in type action page, what we provide talking points, which makes it a little bit easier. But honestly, all you have to do is a very simple message. Don't expect that you're going to have to, spend an hour defending your position. Mostly what they want to hear is something that can be summed up in 2 sentences. And if they ask you something about an issue, hey, what about, does this lead to more teens using? Well, the answer to that is no. We've actually seen teen use stay the same or go down in states that have legalized marijuana. But don't worry about having to get into all of that, because most likely you won't have to. If they ask you a question you don't know the answer, say, I'll look into it and get back to you. Don't make stuff up. That's always gets you in a difficult position. So, I will definitely look into that. And Joe and I had just been speaking about perhaps organizing a call-in day for folks to do exactly what we're discussing. And then also we have currently Regulate CT and MPP are running an ad on Facebook, which if you are a Connecticut Facebook user, you may have seen pop up on the sidebar, which is an ad that says help legalize marijuana in Connecticut. If you click on that, that will take you right to the page that allows you to send a letter. Okay. So just keep getting the messages in, either through letters or phone calls, and tell them, yes, we support this, and yes, we want to vote.
Okay, Becky.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for calling in. We really appreciate it. That's mpp.org and regulatect.org. We really appreciate what you've been doing for us in Connecticut, and we really appreciate the efforts of MPP, and us at Connecticut Normal have really, enjoyed working with you and want to continue working with you. And I hope our next time we see each other is for a victory celebration.
Absolutely. I've had such a great experience working with the advocates on the ground in Connecticut, and I've really enjoyed collaborating. And it's exactly how this all should work, where a national organization that has some expertise and experience on this can partner with the local advocates who know their state, and it's a great example of how all of us who are working on the same issue can be working together successfully. Yeah. So hopefully we'll see this moving in the next, in the coming weeks in Connecticut. And please, I'd be happy to come back on anytime. And let me know if there's additional information that I can provide for you to share with your listeners.
All right, Becky, we certainly will.
Becky.
And I'll be in touch.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you guys so much for having me on. Look forward to seeing you soon, hopefully.
All right.
Yes.
Talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye. You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We're streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook Live. Just go to Facebook.com/New Haven Independent, or just go to your Facebook page and look us up. And then always look at C first. So we're waiting on Josh Elliott to call in. Now, he did email me and said, listen, Joe, I am confirmed to call in, but be aware that we are in caucus. And if we're in the middle of a heated discussion, I may either be late or not be able to call in at all. So
okay.
That was very polite of him.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Because it is.
All
I
right.
was up there today, and they were in caucus.
Yeah.
I peeked my head in there,
right.
saw what they were doing. So let's
We could
continue
talk about the
our
conference.
conversation.
We got the whole week
So we had the Science Center is on Thursday. Friday, we get a day off.
to go into the weekend.
To go into the weekend. We got a busy weekend. We got first on Saturday, we have the Connecticut Cannabis Conference.
First ever.
Yes.
of its
ever.
kind
Yes.
in
And
Connecticut.
That's at the Omni Hotel. It's right around the corner from where we are. It starts at 10 o'clock, and it goes till 6. And then there will also be an after party after that over at Box 63. So really, you could be there all day talking about cannabis. You get to the Omni at 10, you get yourself a massage, a little CBD massage, and then there's all kinds of education going on, a lunch, all kinds of great things going on over there. And it's really a great opportunity, I think, for the people in the cannabis industry to get together. And it's not only Connecticut. We got people from Massachusetts, New York, and Maine coming down.
I'm really excited about the keynote speaks, in all honesty.
I
It's
want
gonna
to
be
talk
my
about
first
what the keynote
opportunity.
speak a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's going to be my first opportunity to speak to actually get to hear some of the people speak. It's going to be awesome to listen to some other speakers that I've heard in the past speak about what they have now.
Yeah. And then to be also a
very
chance to
exciting.
sit down in depth with these people, like at a table of 10.
It's absolutely
And literally
exciting.
get some really one-on-one insight
yeah.
from Chanel Lindsay, Deshita Dawson, Paul Kirschberg, Aaron Romano, all these different people who are already in the industry, working in the industry, doing things. And you'll be able to get some one-on-one time or some workshop time with them. You get to pitch your business. So, and a good lunch. I mean, I think they have good food over there at the Omni. You get
I'm
a
pretty
nice
excited.
lunch. Yeah, and some vendors. You can buy some CBD products. We got a hemp company that's selling hemp clothing, grow company that, so there's all kinds of good things going on. It's like a way to go and see what the industry is in Connecticut, a way for you to get involved. It's the current industry in Connecticut, but also looking to bring new people
This
in.
is groundbreaking. In
And
all
That's
honesty.
the key.
And
new
these are
people.
some of our workshops. Sparking a cannabis business as a medical professional, pitch sessions with focused feedback, seedback, where my head is at, seeds. The business plan and measuring the value of your startup, digital marketing and social media strategy, leading with culture and building a team, community
Advocacy.
building, organizing and advocacy, building your brand with strategic collaborations, finding your niche and preparing for success, 420 entrepreneurial values and mindset, a successful large-scale cultivation. So that's actually
Is
for
that Ellen Brown?
growers. That's Ellen Brown. And I didn't even talk about the people who are teaching these workshops, but media relations for startups, branding and marketing, and legal considerations for cannabis business and startups. So those are the
And we have
workshops.
leaders teaching, and these
Yes.
are not schlubs.
No,
Oh, yeah, no.
schlubs
You know
at
what
all.
I
These
also
are the
noticed?
professionals.
One thing I did notice looking at that program, whose names are not on there.
Who?
None of us.
That's good.
No,
It's
no,
all
We're
right.
running it. We're running
But,
it.
we're
brought in-
sponsored.
We brought in professionals. We
I
brought
was
in
looking at
everybody
that,
we
I'm
would've
going,
brought in.
Yeah, well,
None of us are talking.
Yeah, no.
We get to speak-
I purposely,
We talk enough, I think.
Yeah.
We speak in so many other places that we get to bring the message of Connecticut to Massachusetts. We get to bring it to Jersey. We get to bring it to other states. And now it's very exciting to have
Let
all
the
these.
other people talk.
Yeah, I think sometimes, people are like, oh, here they go with their weed stuff again. I hear that kind of stuff all the time. So maybe to hear it from
Other
other
people that are actually
professionals
from other
yes,
states who are
that
actually
are successful, yes.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to get another perspective because we get to go and see all these things, and now we actually get to get them.
And we get to hang
You
out,
know.
and we're going to be in the launch hanging out. We're not leading.
Yeah.
We can actually learn from some of these people.
I'm expecting to grow personally and professionally through this conference as well. So
Yeah.
I'm going
If
to try
I'm
my best
looking
to sit in
forward
some
to it.
workshops. Yeah.
if
So-
we're looking forward to it, the regular person who has maybe a small business plan or is looking to create their business plan and
Should be
in
looking
cannabis.
forward to it, yeah.
and in cannabis, and they want to get some type of feedback from somebody already in there, who knows? This pitch session might even turn
Yeah.
into some crazy investor for some crazy reason. You never know. If
Mm-hmm.
you're coming in and your business plan is completely ready to go, the person that you're paired with might be impressed and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
let's look into this." But there's no promises. or
But let me
anything.
tell you, I went to one of my first cannabis conferences was the CWBC, whatever those
I remember
acronym
that,
is in
yeah.
New York. and they had like a pitch session. Like they had people who had signed up to pitch, and there was free time, so they were like, anybody else want to pitch? And I pitched Can of Health before there was even a Can of Health.
Made it up. On you go.
Yeah, I really did. Like I was thinking about what I would like to see, you know, and I made it up. I pitched it, and I got such great feedback. I got invited to Vegas to go speak on a panel after that.
Right.
And this was my first time ever pitching anything. So even if you don't have a developed idea, but you're thinking along the lines of a business in cannabis and you're not sure, it's a great way to start to see if people feel like there's a need for that, or can tell you, well, maybe you can, you know, define this a little more, and then that would probably be successful. So a lot of great
people
opportunities.
can want to get tickets. It's ctcannabisexpo.com. And then the last thing, Sunday afternoon, cap off a big week in cannabis, is the Rally for a Vote on Cannabis. So this is being sponsored by a lot of different organizations. I know Can of Health will be there, Connecticut Normal. This is really the first time that we're getting together on the lawn of the LOB, and we are going to actually sit there with the bullhorn and with signs. And
no, this is a rally.
This is a rally. This is a real rally, and we want as many people as possible to turn out. And it's not a legalization rally. It's a rally to get them to vote. Rally for the vote. Just come on in
Get
and
the legislators to vote.
Get the legislators to vote. So basically, it starts at 12:30. It's over at Capitol Avenue in Hartford at the LOB building. They would like people to wear green, make signs, and bring everyone. So
because here's what we don't want is this rally to have no one there. We need you 71% of people who are pro cannabis legalization, and you 400,000+ people who consume cannabis to come out.
10% of you.
Yeah, 10% of you would be great.
Would be great.
You know, just come on out.
1%
Show
would be
a little
great.
support. If we can get 1%, like you said, if we can get
1% of the 400
to say, hey,
yeah,
come on, this is what we're looking for. This is what we need. You know, it's such a big thing in our everyday lives. If it's Sunday, it's at noon. It doesn't cost you anything. It's not.
You're already recovered from Cinco de Mayo and the conference.
You know, this is what you should be doing. Come out and support. Show them that hey, this is what we want. Come vote on it. 71% of us say yes. You brought it out of committee. We have some legislation. Let's vote on it, because if we vote on it, then we could get, like Becky said, that strike all.
Yeah, exactly. And like Becky said, I do have the phone numbers for both the Democrats and the Republicans. So you can call and ask for your representative and then speak to them. So if your representative happens to be a Democrat, you can call them at 860-240-8500. And if your representative happens to be a Republican, you can call them at 860-240-8700. So this way, I mean, it's a quick call. I've done it myself quite a few times. You just call up, you ask for the name of your rep, and then they say, okay, and they'll usually put you into their message.
Yeah,
honestly, they're not in their office. But you leave a voicemail. Be nice about it. Don't be mean. Don't say, hey, you jerk, vote for cannabis. Say, hey, look, this is John, and I'm from your district, and I really would like to see you vote yes on the cannabis legalization bill number 5394.
And that's all it is. That's that simple.
Exactly right.
How's it going? My name is Luis. I'm a member of your constituents, and I would like you to vote for cannabis. Bring that. We would love to bring it to a vote, and we would like you to vote in favor of cannabis.
And click. Goodbye.
That's it.
Maybe say your address. So they know you really are.
I
in
wouldn't
their
give you
area.
full address. I just say I'm from Stratford.
That's what I mean.
Just make sure they know that you're. They represent you.
Yeah, and it's a good thing to do. And showing up at these conferences and showing up at these rallies and at these things at the Science Center, the more people that come out to these things, the more it shows the legislators and the general public that, yes, cannabis is a popular topic. Cannabis, people want it legalized. Look, let's be real. I mean, like I said earlier in the show.
If you can't do it all, there are so many different opportunities to do it at so many different levels. Yes, the conference costs a couple dollars. The rally is
not
free.
much though.
Yeah,
not much. The rally is free.
Right.
Come on out to the rally. If it means you have 15 minutes, that's 15 minutes with an extra.
Especially if you're in the Hartford area, it's going to be a beautiful day. I'm sure. Look, I know Bohemian High is bringing up their bus.
Yes.
I'm sure maybe they'll have some. We might have food there. People will be bringing food, drinks, whatever else. It'll be a good time. It's going to be a nice day, you know? Yeah, it should be a good day.
Bring a blanket to sit
Bring
down.
a blanket to sit down. We'll play some reggae music, and then we'll get, hey, bowls, not tolls, or whatever we're going to chant, we'll chant. But let's let these legislators know that they're, first of all, I think they're making a big mistake voting on tolls and not cannabis.
Yeah.
I think they should switch it around. I think tolls should be their last resort instead of their first. So they should look at cannabis, casinos, online gambling, online lottery, anything before tolls.
You know what? They've opened up the windows for the teledoctors nowadays. So I'm getting all these new advertisements on these teledoctors to do this, to do that. I'm seeing all this pop up. Why wouldn't they go for cannabis? Why wouldn't they? You know, I'll take the tolls if you give me cannabis.
That's almost. I mean, that's it. It's almost like, you know, you got to take. If you got to take the bitter, if you got to take the bitter pill, at least let's drink it down with some honey, right?
Yeah,
you know, I mean,
yeah.
That's what I agree with you, Lou. I could almost stomach tolls if you told me I had legal cannabis too.
If you give me legal cannabis, I'll even deal with the casino.
Yeah, in Bridgeport, which we know
with legal cannabis. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'll say good. Put a casino in Bridgeport because I'm against that too. But I mean, I'm not against casinos. I'm against a casino in Bridgeport. I just think it would be terrible for that city.
I think it could do it. It can swing both ways. I think initially with the casino in Bridgeport, I say the first 10 years it'll be glitz and glam, and then after that.
It'll be Atlantic City all over again.
It'll be Atlantic City all over again because they're going to say, hey, we have one in Bridgeport. Let's put one now.
Waterbury.
On Waterbury.
Right.
You know, we do see our OTBs right now. You know, if you even know or realize that Connecticut does have a large gambling presence, you know, the OTBs are all over the place and you don't really know about them.
Yeah.
What's that?
And Winners, those little Winners cafes where you can bet on horses right in there.
You know,
over the counter betting.
Yeah.
I'm just saying when y'all throw out
betting. OTB is off track betting.
Over the counter. You know, I'm from
off track betting is OTB, and they've kind of disguised it, right? In New York, it used to just be you go in, but now that Winners Cafe, so you literally go have a drink, and it's like a whole social type of deal. When then you bet, and they have Keno in there, and they have all kinds of betting. You can sports bet, you can, you know, it's just
bet on the dogs, bet
everything,
on highlight, bet
the
on
horses.
And
now you guys aren't old enough, but we had highlight here in Connecticut.
I heard about that,
and it was exactly like that. It was great at first, right? New Haven, Hartford, and Bridgeport. It was great at first, and then within 10 years, you know, it was terrible. It was just like, I mean, the things that happened in the neighborhood around Highlight were not good. And not that they ever put them in great places anyway, but I think the same thing would happen with a casino in a city. And that's why they put them out there in, you know, Uncasville. They should be out a little further away from a major city because if it will amplify whatever issues there are.
There are casinos on the Connecticut-New York border. You know, we have the 2 Raceway Casino. We have the Twin Peaks casinos. They run all up and down the western part of Connecticut. Yep, all the way from Westchester, all the way up to Rockland, and even up the Catskills.
But they're not really full service.
They're not. And if we are going to allow the full service casino, I think that it would be more advantageous to the northwestern corner of Connecticut because they are that Mottville type of location where it is scenic. It would look like the whole Indian reservation-ish, and they'd be able to improve the area. They'd be able to put some infrastructure out there, and it wouldn't really be impacted by the inner city like a Bridgeport area.
And I think that's why they did it there in the first place. I mean, stick with that model, really. I mean, we've seen.
This is all our personal opinions,
guys.
Opinion,
you know, right? If you, Joe Ganem, if you want a casino in Bridgeport, you want to handle the problems, go ahead. But I do live one town over, and I know it's going to ce So
don't get me wrong.
I'll go there. Trust me. But what's more important? It'd be nice to have a casino with legal cannabis.
And you know, you bring this casino in, and we offer cannabis craft style with delivery services. You bet your hump there'll be an Uncle Lou something or other. You know, some type of branded service that would go into this. And you know, it's done in Vegas already. It's done. You can go to Las Vegas, and as you go over, your green concierge would be able to get you a box, a weekender box, I believe.
Yeah, I haven't been.
Krista Whitley.
You've been
since
legalization. Have you been to Vegas since legalization? I have not.
Oh, I've been.
Yeah.
It's like a daggone
It's
free for all out there.
you know what?
It is.
It is.
Is that what
dispensaries,
Connecticut's afraid of? Huh?
But
they
they
use the dispensary though. You know, that's the best thing when you're
I
out
went
there.
to the dispensary.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily the Wild West because.
But
silly as it
Vegas
sounds,
is Vegas.
It is.
Vegas is a party town. It's a tourist town. That's what it's meant to
So
be.
the
and so they're
dispensaries are
living
big
up to
and
it.
glitzy.
Oh,
Yeah, they're living
yeah.
up to it.
Do you know-
It would be a whole different market here in Connecticut.
Would you agree that people are not just offering you cannabis out on the street?
No, you
no
have to
one
go in
ever
every
once
dispensary.
offered me
You know what I
cannabis.
mean?
Yeah.
Nobody offered me.
Now, let me
cannabis
ask you a
on the-
question. I mean, everywhere you go in Vegas, there's a slot machine, right? You go to the airport, slot machine. You go to 7-Eleven, slot machine. You go anywhere. Is there slot machines in the dispensaries?
No, no
Not in the ones that I went to.
No,
Because, I mean,
No.
right, they put them everywhere.
Oh, yeah,
But you
not-
can go to the cigarette spot and have the gambling right there.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I think it's classy that they don't put the gambling inside the actual dispensary.
Right.
What I do like is out there. Ashley was out there recently, and he was able to sign up some paint and bake locations. So when you're out there, they do the craft cannabis. The dispensary is on one side of the strip mall, and on the other side there's music halls, artist spaces. They're chill spaces with open cannabis. They're private lounges because now you're paying to enter.
Oh, they have private lounges now?
It's how they.
Yeah, Vegas,
stretch it.
remember, they're always pretty loose.
No, but they
no
didn't have them when
smoking
I was
laws.
there. That's why.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't have the. You can't smoke.
No, it's not
inside anywhere.
In the casinos, you can.
Not cannabis.
No, well.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't know what you're talking about. I went to the
Vape.
High Times Cannabis
I mean,
Club.
even in Connecticut, they really don't say much if you're smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that should be allowed.
It should,
permissible.
100%.
If you could smoke cigarettes.
cigarettes, because they give me a headache.
But you'll see
Yeah.
them outside. You'll see outside smoking a couple joints in the artist lofts at night because dispensaries are 24 hours in Vegas. Not to, we're not looking for 24-hour dispensaries.
We're
here
not
in
going to be
Connecticut.
Vegas, but yeah.
exactly. But that could also be something that somebody might be scared about in the future
Right.
because
Well, I
hey,
think that's what they are scared about. They see
but we're
these.
not looking for that.
We're not looking for Vegas. We would like a nice, quiet, regulated market.
Let us go to Vegas for that.
Yeah, we can go to Vegas if we want to be crazy.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that people are consuming on a regular basis.
Every day,
And we
you
do
said
not
400,000
know.
of them.
Yes, and we don't know what they're consuming,
You
They
don't know
where
don't.
if
it's
it's healthy.
been.
They don't
what,
know. Exactly.
Yeah,
You're so
and
right about that.
So, I mean, if we keep it illegal, then we are encouraging the black market.
Yes.
If we legalize, then we are discouraging the black market. And something, we were at this forum earlier today, and I didn't get to say this, but I think it's really important to add this to every conversation too, because I'm talking about the black market so much and all this other stuff. And like I said before, those people who are street pharmacists giving out cannabis to the general public, they've helped save a lot of lives, and they've helped keep a lot of people medicated, in this
Not even knowing
unregulated
it.
market. So I think it's important that we start having conversations about how to pull the people from the illegal market, so the people who are selling cannabis out in the streets from the illegal market into the legal market.
There's so many places they can be utilized, in all honesty,
Yes.
because think of this, it's a built-in distribution network, it's a built-in marketing network, it's
And they have sales experience.
complete
Yeah.
sales, and then
And growing
And
and producing.
they know their market. They know their product.
And
you
if
know?
they have the right clientele, and they have their clientele, not even the right, the wrong, or whatever, if they have their clientele and now they're not doing the black market portion of it, and they are working for the gray market and for the legal side of it, they're going to be able to tell their people, hey, look, now we have testing. Now this is coming from this grow facility. Now they're able to offer the entire pedigree of the flower versus, hey, this is just that loud.
And they're able to start an LLC
Yep.
and do things the right way and approach business in a professional way as
Now,
opposed
it's
to
awesome.
illegal.
It's from
awesome.
my experience, and this is just from working with the school and trying to help people do exactly what you say.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them don't really want to come out of the black market. They're afraid.
I was gonna say because they're afraid.
And you also find some people have a hard time adjusting to doing business in a more legitimate way, being more professional.
Right.
I have found that to be one of the biggest issues with working with people who used to be in the black market who are trying to become legitimate. The idea of doing legitimate business, first of all, scares them. Because, you do have to pay taxes. You do have to put your name down on a piece of paper and your social.
And it's still federally prohibited.
Yeah.
So, that makes people a little scary.
Yeah. So that's one thing I've found as an issue with people trying to come from the black market in. And the other is, the lack of accountability that's on the black market doesn't transfer over to the legit market. In other words, you need to be accountable for coming to meetings on time, delivering what you say you're going to deliver. You can't oversleep. You can't do these kind of things when you're trying to deal with professional business people. Right. And I found that to be a lot of some of the same issues with people who are used to doing business in a more loose fashion. Remember, there's no accountability because you can't even go to the police if you get ripped off.
Right. Yeah, and I don't think it'll be for everyone, but I just think it's important that we provide resources because there are people who have been supporting their family off of the black cannabis market. And so now if all we talk about is stop buying from the streets, what are we going to do for those people? And I really would like to provide them with avenues to entrepreneurship in this industry as well.
And the truth of the matter, if they're not felons and they have never been caught, nobody knows they were ever in the black market. Right. So they're going to just come in there with some skills and be, talented. Well,
exactly.
Exactly. But if they've been busted and you have a record, and I really believe we got to look at that, and that should be
we definitely
part
should
of the law.
be expunging records.
Expunging and letting people who have felonies get in the industry.
Getting people out of jail. I cannot believe there are still people in jail for cannabis.
Do you know how many states are actually letting it go?
Seattle.
Yeah, letting it go. And a lot of them. You'll see they'll
Washington,
come falling and falling. Harry, how are we doing on time?
Yep.
Is it our time?
We got 3 minutes. All right, so let's... While we're wrapping up, let's kind of recap what we're talking about. This is a crucial week.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, May 9th is the last day they're going to vote. Now, obviously, if they need to, they're going to go longer like they did last year, but I don't really see that need. I don't see it this year.
They did it last year. They're not looking to do it again
They're not
this
looking
year.
to get it. So we got 10 days, basically, to get them to bring this cannabis legalization bill, HB 5394, to a vote. Okay, so it's really important that we go to things like this, the Fresh and Green at the Science Center, because some legislators are going to be there. They're going to come afterwards. So Fresh and Green at the Science Center this Thursday night, very important, 5:30 to 7:30. People show up there. We want a big crowd to show that people support cannabis because it's going to be very educational and very fun.
I wonder how many of our legislators saw that the Dr. Sanjay Gupta
I'm
special,
sure
and now that opened up some of their eyes because that was just
last
yesterday.
night. Yeah.
So this can open up a bunch of questions for people that they may not know. These are the events they can come out and see.
And maybe with 800 people coming, maybe we could set someone up like at the door at check-in or something and just have people say that they're for cannabis legalization.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Boom. And make a little video, blah, 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 of all the faces.
That's a good idea.
That's probably a really good idea.
And then after that, it will be Saturday and Sunday. There are events. It's like Weed Weekend, Cannabis Weekend. So you got a big...
Green Cinco de Mayo.
And this is actually the weekend that they usually call the Global Marijuana March weekend. It's Marijuana Weekend.
It is.
So
New York has events.
New York has a big march on the 5th, and everybody does their march on the 5th. Well, we're kind of reversing it here in Connecticut. We're doing a professional event on the 5th, and we're doing a global march on the 6th. So we have the whole weekend covered. So if people, we could call it Weed Weekend if you want, but it's a conference at the Omni on Saturday and a rally at the State House on Sunday. Both of these are do not miss. You can make it a nice weekend. Come out and hang out with your advocate friends. But the weather's supposed to be nice both days.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to advance the cause. Believe it or not, just one more person showing up makes the crowd that much bigger, and it shows the support that we have for cannabis. I guess Josh got caught up in his caucus, which is fine. Maybe we can have him on next week.
We appreciate him either way.
Yeah, either way. And
Thank you so much.
I'll be. We got Philadelphia. Kebra and I are going to Philly for a big conference. I'll be calling in on Weed Wednesday on the Joe Ugly Show from Philly with a little update. Other than that, you guys got any parting thoughts?
Nope. I'd love to see everyone at the conference. It's really important that you come. If you're interested in getting into the business of cannabis here in Connecticut, we have people coming from across the nation, experts. So you do not want to miss this.
Yeah.
Blessings on blessings. Happy and stay healthy and high, baby.
All right. All right. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Joe, we got.
Right before I take another toll, I used to wish that I was here now. Smooth sailing on my own boat. About to jump up on another plane. Right before I take another toll, I used to wish that I was here now. Smooth sailing on my own boat. About to jump up on another plane. Right before I take another toll. I always knew that I'd be here now. Standing on his own too. A move I make is real humble. That's exactly what a man do. You playing games and you only get one turn. So I'm moving on the low too. In the game, roll a whole gram up. In the backwood, no, you got roll too. I used to wish that I was dead now. Playing on another, they call me back, resurrected, but that's exactly what I am too. I used to wish that I was here now. Smooth sailing on my own boat. About to jump up on another plane.
One ordinary summer night, there was something to be said.